Good morning, good morning. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie Deja, whatever y'all call me. We want to thank God for being alive another day. I know y'all all heard about the verdict on George Floyd, so that it actually pleased a lot of us because he didn't deserve what happened to him. So we're all thankful for that. Let's check the weather today here in Charlotte. Alexa, what's the weather today here in Charlotte?
Right now in Charlotte, it's 58 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. Today's forecast has intermittent clouds with a high of 68 degrees and a low of 38 degrees.
Ooh, it's supposed to be getting warmer and it's getting cooler. Y'all know I'm going through my allergy. This is the worst season for me, spring. I really hate spring. Due to the fact of the pollen, my allergies. I already have year-round allergies, but then with the pollen is worse. Like yesterday, I had a very, very hard time breathing. If you listened to my podcast yesterday, I think I spoke upon it. It was real difficult, but I know when I get to a certain point where I really have to take the meds, I take them, and sometimes it could get as bad as me having to take my pump, which I don't have one, so I have to go to the doctor's today. So I'm going to cut this podcast really short, 1 hour, and then I'm done because I need to get to the doctor's one time to make sure I have what I need to continue to pretty much live, Thank God for eucalyptus, but the thing is, it's very, very expensive, and if I don't have the money to get the pure eucalyptus, that's a problem as well, So it's just crazy, guys. How some of our bodies work and what goes on in our bodies in order for us to stay alive, Today, I wanted to talk about when opportunities present itself to us. You can ask God for something, and it can present itself right away. You may be shocked. You may say to yourself, well, that wasn't God. They couldn't happen that quick. Yeah, it was God. When you ask, you shall receive. Now, God didn't say, you ask for $1 million, I'm going to give it to you. No. But if you ask for the minimum to take care of your life, God automatically gives you what you need. Okay? See, because all his people in the Bible, they worked. Okay? They worked. They had jobs to do, and that's the only way to learn is by working, education. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about some. I'm going to give y'all some of the opportunities that I got and that I missed, and some opportunities I jumped on, and, things came to light. So, I had to learn from the first time, The first story I wanted to tell y'all about was when I first moved to Maryland. There was a lot of things going on in Buffalo at the time in my life, and God presented itself to me and said, okay, well, it's time for you to go. You need to do something else. So just like that, I moved to Maryland, okay, and I didn't pay a penny. This is how God works. When he wants something done, he gets it done, even if he has to do it through other people. I sat down in Maryland, in Maryland, they took me in with open arms, and I was like so surprised, like, you got to be kidding me. The city is like awesome. Now, mind you, before I went to Maryland, a lot of my friends was like, don't go down to Maryland, ain't nothing there, but nothing but drugs, and you don't want to be there. And they was talking down on this city, okay, this area. I kept saying, well, I know my mom, I'm always talking about Tina. I miss her so much. My mom and my aunt, they used to be going to Baltimore a lot, okay? When they were young, I would ask my grandma, Grandma Doris, I would say to her, Grandma, where mommy going? Oh, her and Luana, they going down to Baltimore. And I was like, Baltimore? So then when my grandmother took me to Washington, and, we had to stop in Baltimore because that's one of the Amtrak stops, and she said, well, this is Baltimore. This is where they be running to. So I was like, oh, well, it's not that far. And then, we went on to Washington because that's where we were going. But I didn't get the chance to actually physically be in Baltimore and see what it was like and meet the people and, just, walk the city, However, I didn't live in Baltimore. I lived in Harford County. And like I said, they opened their arms to me and pulled me right on in, I was able to fit right in. And then, of course, they had to teach me some things, because every city is ran differently. And they had to teach me some things, and I caught on really fast. And the more that I caught on, the more I received, But I wanted to tell you this. Now, before I start working for Frito-Lay, the opportunity had presented itself, okay? And I'm going to tell you when it presented itself. Now, I had got a job as a school bus driver because when I left Buffalo, that was the last thing that I did. I was a school bus driver. So I wanted to go back into that profession because that's what I was used to. However, excuse me, I'm a little sleepy, guys. However, I had to change my license over. So right around that time, 9/11, not right around that time, but 5 years prior, 9/11 had happened. And, a lot of the states was like really weary about things going on. Plus the guys that flew the plane into the Empire State Building had got their training to fly the plane in Maryland. So Maryland was like on high profile safety, okay? So they pissed me off though, okay, this particular day. They pissed me off. And when I say they pissed me off, meaning they had me running up and down the road to New York. Okay, they needed this paper, they needed that paper, they just needed all this stuff. And I'm like, well, why? All I want to do is change my license over so I can drive the school bus, But then I'm dealing with their kids, so they need to know who Jacqueline is. And I get it, I get it. So, I ran up and down the road, and then once they gave me my driver's license, right, switched over my driver's license to Maryland, I'm driving down the street in Cecil County. I'll never forget it. I'm driving Route 40, and I see this billboard that says, join us, Frito-Lay, right? Join us. I felt like they was talking to me, Then it had a number, I made a U-turn because I had passed it, so now I want to get down the information. So I said, ain't that the chips? That's the chips. I don't know what they want me to do, but, I'm going to try. And they said driver bonuses and 401k. They had all the things on there on the billboard. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I need. That's what I'm saying to myself. I need that. So I come home. No, actually, I wasn't home yet. I was still homeless. I wasn't homeless, but I had some place to stay, but I didn't have my own place. So I come back and I start, filling out information, calling the place, doing what I got to do. The day, and this is no lie, guys, the day that I moved into my home, my apartment, it was a house, but the day that I moved in there, they called me on the phone. And they said, can you meet us about 4 p.m.? Okay, and I'm like, okay, well, what about tomorrow? This was God testing my faith. This is the way I felt about it afterwards when I look back on it. And I said, well, I'm going to be a school bus driver, but I applied for this job. So this is something that I wanted, but I wanted to try it. I didn't think that they was going to call me right away. Like, geez. I was afraid because the job wasn't in Maryland. It was in Delaware, which is right outside of Cecil County. So I was a little afraid, and I'm like, I'm just starting to get used to this state, and now they're trying to pull me into another state. I don't know about this because I don't know about what's going on in that state, the fear of the unknown. Okay, and that's what I want to call it, the fear of the unknown. And that's the process that I went through. Okay, I went through the fear of the unknown. So now I don't go to the interview. I said, no, this is not going to be for me. I'm going to be working a whole nother state and then living over here. But the money that they was paying, I'd have been able to move up there, okay, which would have took me out of Maryland, I would have still been able to come to Maryland, but I would have been living in Delaware, and that's the gist of it. However, so now I couldn't take the school bus job because if I remember correctly, Maryland was taking so long to approve my license for me to drive in Maryland legally. I lost the route because school had already started, okay? And the kids needed to get to school, and I couldn't drive because my license wasn't. So I wound up losing the position for the route. They had gave me a route and everything because I had a license. They just needed me to switch it over. Okay, so I lose that job. So now I go to temp agencies, and I'm working at a temp agency. I meet a couple of people. They send me over to Harvard Sanitation. I get the job with Harvard Sanitation. Granted, I wasn't making no money. Wasn't making enough money. Okay, so of course sometimes you have to work 2 and 3 jobs, and this is just what it is. Well, I struggled for a whole year working 2 and 3 jobs. If I would have just went to that interview in Delaware, I'd have been good because I was going to start with, if I'm not mistaken, $49,000 a year, okay, to start in Delaware. Plus commission and the 401k and all that other jazz, that they had up there. However, I missed that opportunity. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now I got to work these 2 or 3 jobs. I'm working them tired. I just couldn't take it. I was just doing too much. Like, this is just too much. My body is weighing down. God help me. But he did help me. And the fear allowed me to hurt myself. Okay? So now, I one day had a day off, and, I run to the store, and I see this guy, and guess where he works? He works for Frito-Lay. So I told him, I said, I had applied, but the one in Delaware, and I didn't go to the, and now I'm doing all of this work, I'm so tired, and blah, 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 and he would see me every day, and, one particular day, he came to me and he said, my zone is hiring. Give me a name. And I just looked at him. I said, God is about to give me this other opportunity. I said, thank you, Jesus. I kept praying. But that opportunity still didn't present itself right away. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I gave him my name and everything. Why they not calling? Once I got the job on the base, I started working on the Army base. I was working on the Army base with the soldiers in the mess hall. Once I got that job, they called me. I wasn't on the job, not even, I don't think, 2 weeks. And Frito-Lay finally called me. I'll never forget it, Matter of fact, the one that called me and him is still cool today, and he said, I want you to come in for an interview. Can you come in today? And I'm like, here they go with this thing again. It's always the day that they call you, they want you there that day. And you like, and I'm like, okay. I get off of work at this time. I told my boss, I said, listen, I got an interview. So I'm going to bring my interview clothes I had called her because it was that morning he had called me. Well, like not really the morning, and I used to go to work about maybe 11 or 10, so we were prepped for the lunch for the mess hall. So I called my boss, and I told her, I said, listen, I said, I have an interview right after work. I said, I'm going to have to bring my clothes with me, and I'm changed. Is that going to be okay? And she said, yeah, you didn't have to ask me that. You could do what you want, as soon as you clock out, you can do what you want to do. I said, I just wanted to make sure because I didn't want, it to be said, I'm changing clothes and, at the job and, the food and, all that stuff. So she was like, no, you good. Whatever you need to do, you do. And then she asked me, well, where are you applying, what job are you trying to get? So I told her, she said, girl, you're going to make some money with them. She said, yeah, go. I said, okay. It's not like I wasn't making money at the mess hall, but it was a part-time job. I would have to come in twice a day, okay? So I couldn't come in on my second shift. This is why I also had to talk to her because we came in for lunch and then we came in for dinner. I wasn't on the breakfast thing. I don't know if they even go there for breakfast, but I used to be there for the lunch and for dinner, okay? So you go home for a couple hours and then you come back, just like with the school bus. So long story short, I went down to this interview, right? And he gave me a test on the spot. Okay, so, I applied, I took the test or whatever. I wasn't on the highway 20 minutes. And he called me back and he said, you passed the test. He said, when can you come in for a second interview? Anyway, that process was shorter than what I expected. Most jobs, they drag everything out and you like, am I ever going to work? But the process was real short. And then I had to do 3 interviews and they had to run my background, all of that. I had to go take drug tests and all of that stuff. But anyway, long story short, I started the job really, really quick. If I would have known that process was like that, I would have went to that interview in Delaware, but I had to go through suffering and pain, okay, in order for me to recognize this is the place that you want to be and this is the place that you need to be, okay, to help you and your family. However, I let that opportunity fly away the first time. God said, okay, well, now I'm going to make it work. Okay, you ain't want to go because you was fearing going to another state. Okay, well, now I'm going to make you work. And he did. I worked my tail off to get money. I worked with the trash company, was sick on my stomach all the time. Even fell in the hopper, was stinking. I went through so much drama, okay? Working at took a part-time job at can you turn that down, please? I'm on my podcast. Can you turn that down? I'm on my podcast. I worked my tail off. I was working at DHL. Had a part-time position there. I was just doing so much, you know what I mean, to try to maintain. Until God put all of that money into one check with a bonus. Okay. I guess he figured she learned a lesson now, so I just wanted to use that as an example of how you can miss an opportunity and make it harder for yourself. You know what I mean? We have to realize that when things are presented to us, we can't have fear. We have to jump on stuff, and even if it makes us wait sometimes, it's for a reason. Okay? Just like I gave the man my name, and I trusted in him. I seen him every day, and I kept saying, well, why is they not calling this time? I said, okay, maybe God doesn't want me to have that job, because I messed up the first time, But it wasn't that. He needed me to wait because I let the other one fly away. So I had to wait. But then once that opportunity presented itself again and I jumped on it, it flew past. Okay? So sometimes when we think that an opportunity is like unreal or opportunity, I hate when she does leaves my bathroom door open without closing it. Excuse me, y'all. When an opportunity presents itself, we can't have fear to better ourselves. We have to have more self-worth and self-love to say, hey, even though I'm afraid, I'm going to try. Okay? Especially if it's not hurting you internally. You know, you're saying to yourself like, okay, y'all don't fear drugs. Y'all don't know what it's going to do to your insides. So why would you fear something that, you know, and I had to think about these things, you know. Why would I fear something that is going to actually better my life? Okay? But I wasn't used to running. I got so used to being in Buffalo and running to Canada back and forth. And I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? I knew the people. I knew the procedures. I knew everything. So this was all new to me. So I was afraid. But it set me back. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I lived through all of it. That's why I'm able to talk about it today. However, I didn't have to go through all that if I would have just followed the signs, okay, that God had presented to me, okay? I don't want you driving the school bus no more. That's why I'm giving your route up. I'm making sure somebody else take that route because I don't want you doing that no more. You did that in Buffalo. Now it's time to do something new. The billboard was right there. Okay? Now, later on, come to find out, I wound up going up to Delaware only because my daughter was living there. And guess what? Delaware had open arms for me as well. Just the way Maryland did. But I didn't realize it. The same thing I feared had open arms to me. Okay? And they showed me, even though they didn't get me with Frito-Lay, they got me on another team where I was able to run through the city, meet the people, and enjoy life. Okay? Which I did. I was working within as a third party within the Food Lion brand, but they took me in with open arms, you know. And that's the story of my life, you know, when it comes to Maryland and Delaware and how I got started, you know, and how the people accepted me. Now, I'm going to tell you another story where an opportunity presented itself and I jumped right on it. Opportunity presented itself and I jumped right on it. And this has to do with the music. Now, I had started my business, Private Friend LLC. I was marketing it, you know, had a couple of callers, you know, it wasn't like anything big. And once I realized what I was doing, I realized that I needed to make it bigger. It had to be bigger in order for it to work. You know, and I was going to need employees because it was waking me up in the middle of the night. And I'm like, okay, now I said that this is supposed to be a business where people can get services all night, every day, and I can't do this by myself. I realize that. But anyway, there's some people that took interest to it. You know, y'all think that when you put stuff on Facebook and on social media, and this is where networking come in at, that people they're not going to recognize what you're doing. Well, I put my Private Friend LLC on Facebook, and who liked my page? I had 5 likes, and somebody else liked my page. And you know, when they first start liking your page, you get to see who likes your page. So I looked, and it said Lil Wayne, okay? And I said, Lil Wayne liked my page. because I had all my details and everything about the business. So I looked, I went and pressed the thing, and it had his little check on there. It's really him. Oh, shoot. Right? I'm like, he likes it. That's what I said to myself. I was excited. Right? So I'm like, okay, all right. So of course, I started doing other things and looking for people to support me and try to get funding and different things like that. And it didn't work out that well. However, Lil Wayne and his crew said, well, let's help her get the money, try to get the money up to do it. They saw my son wanted to be into music, and they knew I would get online and do little videos and present their songs like they were mine. So they gave me that opportunity, okay? Wayne and Tyga gave me the opportunity to see what I can do, So I had to rewrite, one of the songs. Matter of fact, that's the Hated to Love It. When you listen to Hated to Love It, that was written by Lil Wayne and Tyga. And my version with me as well, because I had to revamp some things to make it fit my life. And wanted to see what I could do. Marilyn supported me on that. The guy told me, he said, you might see this picture, producer. He said, come on, I ain't going to charge you on this one. Because people are watching. People are always watching, so they know what's going down. You know what I mean? They can see. That's why I tell y'all to be careful with what y'all post. Be careful what you do, because there's always somebody watching. And he was one of the ones that was watching. Okay? They had actually 2 producers that was watching. And one producer, he just wasn't fit for the project, but this other one was, okay? And we got the project done, which was the Hated to Love It. The point that I'm trying to make is when Wayne presented that opportunity to me, I could have just let it fly by, and I would have never got another opportunity presented to me of that sort. Okay, even though I was in music in the past, and that's the thing is, I've told them, I said I was in music in the past. This particular person was writing, which was my ex-husband, was writing music for me, writing rhymes for me, and I would present them. So I guess they said, well, let's see what she could do. If she talking all this mess that she, she's been in music, we don't really know her like that, so we'll do our research. But this is what she's telling us. So if she's telling us, it shouldn't be that hard, because the song is already written. Now let's see if she can lay the track. And I did it. Okay. Now, being that I had other opportunities to possess, I kind of linked them all, which was my mistake, because at that time when we talk about our third eyes being open, my third eye wasn't open because I was going through a lot. I had businesses. My monies was falling short. I had just lost my job. My mom just died, so I wasn't focused and I wasn't paying attention. However, my focus was on one thing and one thing only. However, the team still helped. Meek Mill was one of them. Being that I was close to Philly and I had a friend in Philly, he's another one that helped. Helped me present this song to the people to see how well it does. And it did well. So then that's when I said I'll make my second song, third song, and that's how it all got started. But when that first opportunity presented itself, I took it because of what I experienced in the past. And I said, if I don't take this opportunity right now, I may not be able to get that opportunity from anybody else, because they may not believe what I'm saying. Okay? So that's how that song came about and how the opportunity was presented to me. Okay? I just want y'all to understand that I want y'all to understand the way God works. Okay? God doesn't intend for us to sit down and He put all the work in. We must put work in. He started out the Bible with Adam and Eve working. Okay? Whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for somebody else, the only way to learn is through experience. Okay? Or if you're being taught. Just like when we read the book, the Bible, it teaches us how to live. We apply that. Okay? And when we apply that, we see the outcomes. Okay? This is the way it works. So don't let your opportunities fly by you. Because they will. And some of them don't ever come back to present itself. Okay? So you may have set in your mind, I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. You may talk about it. You put it in the universe. You know, you're talking about it. That's why I tell people don't talk. When you're thinking, sometimes you need to just keep those thoughts up there if you're not serious. Because that opportunity might present itself faster than you think it will. And when it presents itself, you can't have fear. You have to be ready. Okay? People say to me, why I don't smoke weed? Why I don't smoke weed? Because I might get a job and weed will be good for my ailments that I got going on. But it's not for me. Because I may get someone come up to me and say, you know, I looked at your resume and I need you today. Can you do this job? I send you for a drug test and you do this job for me today? I have to be ready. I have to be ready to say, okay, I can do it. They could set $1 million in front of me. But just because I wasn't ready, I wouldn't be able to take it. That may be their only qualification that they need me to be in order for me to take on this job. That's one of the reasons why I personally don't use drugs. Okay? That's just me. Everybody's different. I have so much experience under me that one night of good fun will destroy, not my whole life, but it'll destroy an opportunity flying past me that I want to catch. Okay? So that's why I personally don't indulge. You know, because people, oh, what's wrong with her? Why she don't get high like everybody else does? I got my own high, my allergy pills. The doctors give it to me. But it's not going to stop me from passing a drug test. You get what I'm saying? So when those opportunities start flying past, I can grab them here, grab them there, grab them here. There's no fear, okay, of what I may stand before because of the choices that I've made. There's no fear. I have no fear because I can go and I can get it. And that's just my self-worth, okay? Because I know what I'm capable of. I know what I stand for. I know how successful I've been. So I'm able to level my success with the things that I don't want to do to bring my success down. Because certain things can bring success down versus helping it. I try to follow the rules as much as I possibly can. You know, I noticed I wrote a post this morning about, you know, all the rules that the government make, you know, and they ask us to follow them. You know, I've been trained to follow them since I was living in Buffalo, you know, after my life had changed a little. I've been trained to follow, you know, what they say, and you will see progress in your life. It worked for me in Maryland. It worked for me in Buffalo. But it's not working that well here in North Carolina. Okay, so that's where things start to look shady. Okay, Now, when I followed the rules in Maryland, I got rewarded. Here in Charlotte, I follow the rules. I got to fight, argue, and go through drama in order to get my point across. It's not my way. It's your way. Okay? So, it kind of pisses me off. You know, and I'm taking this podcast a little further than where I was supposed to be going, because we are talking about, and I want to stay on track, we are talking about opportunities that present itself. You know, once you've learned that an opportunity has presented itself, you need to jump on it right away if you really want it. And if you don't want it, then don't speak upon it. Because God is always listening. And it may be something that he can actually give you right away. Okay? So there's something, sometimes we have to, sit back and say, is my fear stronger than my need or my wants? You're supposed to be stronger than your fear. And you have to fight it. That's just the bottom line with the faith of God. And say to yourself, hey, I really need this. I know I need this. I want this. That's just how it is. And we have to get used to the way God does things. Or we deal with the devil. And the devil's nothing but chaos. And this is only for those that want to live a peaceful life. Not every day is going to be perfect. But you'll be able to see what's there to fix any issue that you go through. Okay, this is like yesterday. I was not really stressing, but I'm more upset than stressed. Okay, because my daughter hasn't been in school for 5 days. They're kicked out of school. I got no notice of it. It don't work that way. That's not the way it works. Okay, you have to give notice to people. They have to sign documents, So since when people decide to make rules on their own and just decide to say they can do whatever they want to do, but yet and still we have to follow the rules. It doesn't work that way. Who gives you the right to do whatever you want to do, but then I can't do what I want to do? That's not the way it works. It didn't work like that in the Bible, and it doesn't work like that in our government. But that's the way they present it. So this is what they're teaching our kids. Just because there's rules, you don't have to follow them. Okay? But you have to make the rules make sense. That's the difference. If the rules don't make sense and people are able to manipulate the rule, then that's not a good rule. And quiet as kept, almost every rule that's made, if you take one word out or you don't write it properly, the rule can be manipulated. Okay? So people's way of trying to prove that they're right, they will not answer you until they have an answer. Instead of dealing with it promptly to get rid of it because you messed up. So now they're trying to figure out more and more ways to continue to mess up. Instead of just ending it. Because it's not going to work. Once you create one lie and start creating another lie and creating another lie, it's going to destruct you. Okay? That's what we call self-destruction. Okay? So when an opportunity does present itself, even in a negative way, deal with it. And get rid of it. Because the longer you let it linger on, the more pain you're going to go through. That's what we call self-destruct. And people do it to themselves every single day. So, I've learned to sit. Let me tell y'all what I found. Sorry to stop the podcast, but y'all know the big round ball gums that they sell in the where you put your quarter in and you turn in and get the big round ball. Well, I haven't seen these things in so many years. I guess they brought them back. Where they got the little gums in the packet called Rainbow. Yeah, I found these. And I love them. But anyway, I just wanted to tell y'all about that. They're tasty. And then they allow you to blow big, big bubbles. I used to eat them all the time when I was a kid. Every time I used to see one of them vending machines, I was always going, can I get a quarter? Can I get a quarter so I can get me a big gum? And, yeah. Tasty. But anyway, not good for you, but tasty. We have to learn to have self-worth, self-discipline, know what's right, know what's wrong. The other thing we have to deal with on a regular basis, and I'm gonna make a whole podcast about this one, about the dictation of what people feel and how they think we should live or eat, or every so often, every 10 years, we go through these channels of what we should eat. We shouldn't eat this because you might get cancer. You shouldn't have sex because you might get HIV. We went through those channels, okay? I went through a lot of errors, so I can speak about it. This happens every 10 years. This time it's COVID, okay, in this era, okay, because it left one era to come into the next, okay? So this is what we go through every so long, every so often. We go through these eras where something we're fighting, okay? They figure, all right, well, last time it's about the cancer. The cancer was killing everybody. Now people are starting to beat cancer. We just got to get them to continue to eat right so they will have, good immune systems and they can beat off the cancer if they get the cancer. Okay, that started working. But then now, the COVID has presented itself. So now we're still working on the eating habits, okay? But we're also working on self-care habits, meaning how do you stay clean, to keep disease-free, not being around people as much, staying far apart. This is what we're working on in this era, okay? Right along with that, they brought into this era George Floyd, how he was murdered last year. So that's another thing that's going to persist in this era, okay? The way the cops deal with people, the way companies deal with people, the respect that they're supposed to have for the civilian, okay? If you don't like a job and don't want a job and can't do a job, you shouldn't be on the job. You could get another one, okay? There's a lot of jobs out here. I told you I met a police officer, and his job was easy. He didn't like that he had to work at night, okay? So he decided he wanted to go get him a CDL. And I don't know if he ever went and got a CDL, but that's what he had presented to me. I want out of this police officer job, and I want to get me a CDL and ride and make me some money, Like I said, I don't know if he did it, but the point that I'm trying to make, he knew that being a police officer wasn't for him. He knew, okay? And he didn't hesitate. He just couldn't figure out what job he wanted to do. But he opened up his third eye. He said, why he sitting along at night meditating, because that's all you can do when you're in a dark car at night by yourself, and you're supposed to try to stay alert. All he was able to do was meditate. Okay, and the water is right there, and he was, on the bridge. So he opened up his mind and he said, God told me, as soon as I pulled her over, God, he slapped me with it. Plow. There go your job. You didn't know, but I gave it to you. See? I told y'all, I didn't get a ticket. I didn't get a warning. Nothing. He was just happy to see that he had another way to make a living for his family because he did not want the living of being a police officer. And that's what happens. A lot of these police officers, they get these jobs and don't realize all the things that possibly go on and don't believe that certain things can happen to them. You see some of this stuff on TV. You may hear of a strange thing happening once in a blue moon in this particular state or whatever the case may be. But this stuff is coming faster and faster now. And some of them is like, look, I can't do this no more. It's playing with my mental. And when stuff start playing with your mental, you got to get out. Because you'll be just like the man that killed George Floyd. Now he's going to sit up in jail for the next 75 years when he could have just went and got a new job. So you see where I'm going with this? Don't put yourself in a realm that if God has presented something to you, you let it fly past you. You're constantly screaming, I can't do this no more. But you're letting the opportunities fly past you. We need more people to read the Bible. We know that every story in the Bible you may not like, you may not understand, you may not want to understand it. But until you read that book, you won't know how God works, and then you won't be successful or blessed. And if you are, God will find a way to show you or give you a lot of tests without understanding it and reading it, to where you would destruct yourself. Okay? And that's something you don't want. You don't want to destruct yourself. It's not good. It becomes failure on your part. Granted, you have to deal with it. It's your life, your world, your choice. But we're trying to give y'all the tools in order to be successful and be free mentally. Okay, mentally. Now, when we talk about free, we're talking about mentally. Okay, physically, we're not free because I open up a business, I got to have a business license. I got to have all this stuff in order to maintain. But my mind is free. No one can control my mind. So if I decided I want to go into a business, okay? If I decide, and I'm going to give y'all this last 10 minutes and then I'm out. If I decide I want to go into a business, I know all the circumstances that come with that business, okay? There's going to be things that's going to present itself that I'm not going to be happy with. There's going to be things that present itself that it's perfect. However, that's what I chose, okay? Because technically you don't have to choose nothing. You got people out here every day that's homeless on the street and they're saying, you know what? I choose not to work. I choose not to do this. I choose not to do that. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. It's your choice, your world. And they'll sit there. I've met homeless people. And I tell you no lie. New Yorkers can tell you about it. Because if they're a real New Yorker and they roam the cities of New York, they will tell you There's some of them homeless people out there that got that thing down packed, that homeless thing down packed, and they walk around with their carts. Most of them was rich before. But they like the life of not having to deal with the government, people. They deal with them when they want to. Do I want to be like that? Nah. But you have some people that just, they sell and then they become homeless people on the street. And they happy with it. And we got some homeless people, they out there because they on drugs, they can't pay their bills, whatever the case may be. But majority of the homeless people that you see established homeless on the streets, they've been rich before. And that's what can happen if you let opportunities fly past you. And this is in every state. I'm going to tell y'all the story real quick. I first came to Maryland with this lady. She was homeless. I had a P.O. box. Okay? And every time I would go in there to check my P.O. box, she would have a pallet down with her kids sleeping on the post office floor. Okay? That was their home at night. Okay? One morning I had went into Wife's, which was the market. And I had to use the bathroom. I know I got a bad stomach, so sometimes I eat stuff and mess up my stomach. I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get in this bathroom. So I'm banging on the door. They taking forever to come out. I'm banging on the door. Banging, banging, banging. All right, ma'am, are you coming out? It's been like 5 minutes. I didn't want to poop on myself. I'm like, come on. So she opened up the door. She came out with both of the kids. I said, that's the same lady from the post office. And I was like, wow. So I used the bathroom, right? Came out. I think was she buying food? She was doing something. And then I asked her, I said, you the same lady that was on the post office floor with the kids in the post office? She said, yeah. She said, I'm from Africa. And the police took my husband away. And we shall not leave him here in America. I said, how long your husband has been locked up? She said, a year. She lived on the street with her kids for 1 year waiting because he's the one that had the money for them to survive and the will to work for them to survive. Well, eventually the county got, and it's funny how this happened because once I approached her, she wasn't afraid, but she needed help. And I don't know if people was listening to me talk to her because there was people around. But it wasn't too long after that they came and got the kids from her. And then she was living by herself on the streets. Now her mind is saying, now they got my kids and they have. When all she had to do was ask somebody. She wanted to stay quiet. Well, all she had to do was ask somebody, I got my kids and I don't want to leave America, but can I get some help? And she was afraid that they was going to take the kids from her, which they did. But the point that I'm trying to make was there was opportunities for her because her husband was in jail. She could have got a one-way ticket back to Africa, or America could have helped her. Okay? But by her not doing anything, she lived 1 year on the streets, homeless. So I'm telling y'all this story because sometimes we have to open our eyes to the things that surround us. And see, she was so afraid, the fear of not wanting to get help. And that's what happened to me when that job presented itself, which would have been a perfect job for me and my kids. Okay? At the time, I'd have been able to do all I needed to do for my children without working 2 and 3 jobs and killing myself. So when I looked at her, I looked at myself. And I said, damn, that could have been me. So you have to open up your mind, people, and don't allow fear to stop you from doing things. Trust in God and say that either I'm going to get through this as a winner or I'm going to learn a lesson. Don't let the opportunities present itself and fly away from you. Because once again, you may not ever see the opportunity again. Well, guys, I got to go. I got to prepare myself for my doctor's appointment because all I know, this opportunity might not present itself again. Okay, so I got to get myself to the doctor and take care of my business and make sure I'm good so I can survive every single day. I love you guys. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Y'all continue to be safe. Try to, follow the rules because we're gonna show the government where they messing up at. Y'all can't make these rules and then do what y'all want to do. Y'all got to follow the rules too. That's the way it works. Okay? So they'll get it. This is the era right here that they're going to learn. Okay? Anyway, y'all all have a safe day. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon.